Hi, Leah. How are you this morning?
Hi, doing pretty well, thanks. How are you this
Good.
evening?
I'm good, thanks. Good. So we're coming in a day late, but just listen out for when we come in. Sometimes we'll be on Tuesdays. Maybe sometimes we'll have to make adjustments as we go. But we hope to come here and be
That's
here every
life.
day to have important conversations. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
life.
Conversations about conversations and leadership.
Exactly. So today we wanted to talk about difficult conversations, and I was reading an article that you'd written, a post that you'd written. And what I
Mhm.
loved, what you said, was that part of a difficult conversation is because I'm really having the conversation in essence with myself, with my
Yeah.
perspective and my point of view.
hmm
And if I can just pause and say, tell me more, then I can hear your perspective, which might be completely different. So, just to give the example that you gave, if a child's talking to an older parent saying, I'd like you to move out because the child thinks it's safer and we'll put you in a different home. And the parent, for the conversation for the parent is, I'm getting old and I'm losing certain control over my life. And that might cause conflict because we just don't know what's going on in the other person's head. They're having that conversation with themselves. So, as you said, empathizing, and I feel just saying, tell me more. What's difficult for you? Opens it up. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. When the way you said it reminded me that Susan Scott says, I forget how she says it. We're always in our conversations are mostly with ourselves, but we let other people in.
I
And
love that.
and we forget that the other person has an entirely different perspective. And but what we think they're negating in us when they struggle against what we've said. Why won't they just follow my direction? Why can't they just take my advice? I talked to a woman recently who said it's insulting. I'm an expert in this area.
Mhm. I love
Um,
it.
why don't they trust me? Why doesn't my child listen to me? Why don't they remember what I tell them? These are the things that are usually what are making us agitated or upset and fighting, and they're not doing any of that.
Right,
They're having a wholly different conversation.
right, absolutely. And I always like to ask the question, and I do this with myself if I have a difficult conversation, and I've mentioned this before, is to review and say, what was my contribution in this conversation? Because
Mhm.
the conversation doesn't happen by itself, even though we're saying that we're talking to ourselves and our own perspective. But if I can think of what was my contribution in this difficult conversation rather than that person really is to blame, it also gives you a different
Right, right.
perspective.
When we're in the conversation, there's often something, though, that will get our emotions going. And the challenge of the difficult conversation is navigating my emotions while trying to hear yours.
Right.
I have to be able to understand that with it's coming up for me and this is making me upset. If I share that and I talk from that place, it doesn't matter what words I say. The other person gets the upsetness. And conversations are really an exchange of energy. And the energy you give is what you're most likely to receive back.
Right.
So
And I
when
love
you
that.
yeah, thank
I
you.
love that because you kind of brought the urgency to it. I'm listening to you, but I need to get my words out.
Uh-huh.
And then I can't accept your perspective and have that expansion. Oh, maybe you see this differently.
Yes. And you see, our conversations are so much fun because they are always yes and. And it's easy to do yes and in these conversations because we're building each other. Yes, and you just made me think of something else. Oh, and that makes me think of, and that's an exciting conversation. But no, what you just said doesn't make sense to me. I think about it differently. It's not a great conversation. The trick is to figure
Mm.
out how to do yes and then conversations. Yes, I hear you. I see you. I understand. And I think I see it a little. And can I share my perspective, or can I share it from another way? It
Right.
is what we're really wanting to be able to say. I had a conversation with a client last week, and I realized that what was going on in her decision or her thinking about and reflecting about with a particular person she was working with were also another post sometime will be the things that aren't said in a conversation. where somebody was having an idea and she's already, based on that idea, problem solving, downloading new ideas, and far, like cougar ideation. But the other person just hears, you just ran off somewhere with those ideas. I didn't hear you say that you liked my ideas. I didn't hear you agree with them. Now it sounds like you're trying to fix them, or you have better ideas than I do. And the missing link was to go, oh, I hear you. That's really making me think. And it's giving me some new ideas. Can I share them?
Right. Beautiful.
And
In other words, it's also helpful. Sorry, did you want to?
No, you go ahead.
It's also helpful to, in order to give feedback in a conversation, you also want to be willing to receive feedback. Oh, so sorry. I thought my phone was on silent. You wanting to be open to giving and receiving. In other words, I don't want to just criticize you.
Right. So in the conversation, you're giving energy, you're receiving energy. People want to see that they've been received. They want to feel seen, heard, and they want to know that what they've said has landed and made a difference. But we're in our conversation, we forget that other people need that. And conversations are really about relational moves. So we go very easily into our heads and we start running with ideas. But when we do that, we've just left the person behind. Unless we guide and lead them and take them with us, that's a different kind of conversational move to say, I'm hearing you and so many things are going on in my mind right now. I'd really love to share, then you are able to reconnect that relationship and bring them to your experience. So they're with you there. But what most of the time happens in our conversations is we leave and go into our experience of the conversation, our experience of how it's making us feel, our experience of that other person, react from that place, and we haven't brought the other person with us. Right. They just see that we're upset. They just see that we see them as a source of agitation. Right. And anyone who is made to feel like they are the source of agitation is going to agitate back.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, that relationship isn't something out there and a conversation. It's not out there, a thing. It's a minute by minute update, second by second. I'm feeling you, feeling me, feeling you. It's back and forth. And can you feel me? That I'm receiving you, I'm hearing you, or do you feel, that I'm just in my own head, as you say? I love that. Right. It's like dances for me.
Yes, so what I often say is set the intention to connect in your conversation. An intention for connection will make everything easier. We tend to look for agreement. I feel heard, the other person gets me. We're being said. But conversations can have a lot more steps and still be moving in that direction. But when you're looking for that, you miss the other opportunities to create the connection that brings that person along with you, because you've just kind of gone ahead and you're not in their conversation anymore.
Right. And I love what you said about we're looking for agreement, because very often I need you to get my point of view.
Yes.
Rather than, let's look at the relationship. What's more important?
Right.
Do you want to be right, or do you want to be married?
Exactly.
and that's the shame, that the details, you need to do what I need.
Yes.
So that was great.
Exactly it. And then we react when other people see us as the agitator. We didn't see ourselves as the agitator. We see ourselves as, I have a reason to be upset. You're not hearing me. Or you just said this about me. And we're totally justified. It's the other person.
Right, exactly.
Should be able to be more patient, should get us, should be able to hear us better, should whatever it is. And like what you said, which I like very much, is that what responsibility can I take? So basically, I think this is fairly true. I have yet to see an exception, though I'm open to hearing if there's one. What I say, I'm responsible for my actions, and I'm responsible for my emotions, but I'm not responsible for your emotions. So the emotions that you show, so I will ask a client, I think we've talked about, turn off the TV. What did you see? If you weren't hearing it and receiving, feeling it, you just saw it, on the other side of the screen, what was happening for that other person. And when we can do that, we can see that's there. That was their stuff. The same thing is true the other way around, though.
Right.
It's our stuff. If we're agitated or upset, that doesn't mean we're not justified. We might be totally justified. There are a lot of feelings that are very valid and very justified. They're also our responsibility, how we live in them, how we express them, how we navigate them, and how we show up in them. That's our responsibility.
Right. And I love that, because so often we do feel that we are responsible. I better not say this because, and I think that's a whole nother conversation that I think is so valuable for us to have.
Yeah.
I do. Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It was great, as always. Thank you. And we'll
so
see
many places. We just cover so much in those 10 minutes.
I know. Excuse me. We'll see if there are any other questions that come up in the group.
Oh, are you seeing the questions?
No, I said we will see after this.
Oh, we will see.
And
Yes,
we'll
we see questions come up, and then we can answer them. We can also pop on and do little lives individually to address them, even though we're not coordinated to talk again for another week.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week then.
See you next week. Have a good week.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye.